Swords clashing, shields splintering, arrows raining from the sky. When we think of medieval warfare, this is the image that comes to mind. But hidden amongst the familiar chaos of the battlefield were weapons so advanced, they seemed to belong to a different century entirely. These weren't just simple tools of war. They were technological marvels that shattered expectations and reshaped history. Get ready to discover the medieval weapons that were truly ahead of their time. Let's travel back to 1453, to the legendary walls of Constantinople. For 1,000 years, these fortifications had stood unconquered. But the Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II had a secret weapon, a true monster of a cannon forged by a Hungarian engineer named Orban. This was the bombard. Picture a cannon stretching 27 feet long, so massive it took a team of 60 oxen just to move it. Firing it was an epic ordeal. It could only be fired a few times a day, and each shot required loading a massive stone ball weighing over 1,200 pounds. When it finally roared, the sound was deafening, and the impact was catastrophic. These stone cannonballs didn't just bounce off the walls. They smashed through them, creating gaping holes and paving the way for the final assault. The fall of Constantinople marked the end of an era, and it was a cannon, a piece of futuristic artillery, that fired the final shot. Now, let's sail to the siege of Antwerp in 1585. The Spanish had built a massive pontoon bridge across the river, cutting the city off from all supplies. The situation was desperate. In a stroke of diabolical genius, an Italian engineer fighting for the Dutch unleashed a new kind of terror, the Hellburner. From the outside, it looked like an ordinary, unmanned merchant ship just drifting aimlessly towards the bridge. But below its decks, it was a floating bomb of immense power. It was packed with thousands of pounds of gunpowder, surrounded by scrap metal, projectiles, and millstones. As it drifted into the Spanish bridge, a clockwork mechanism triggered the explosion. The result was apocalyptic. The blast was heard miles away, instantly vaporizing a huge section of the bridge and killing nearly 1,000 Spanish soldiers in a flash. It was one of the largest man-made explosions in history up to that point, a terrifying ship bomb that brought naval psychological warfare to a whole new level. Speaking of naval warfare, let's head to the shores of Korea in the late 16th century during the Japanese invasions. The Japanese Navy was formidable, but the Koreans had an ace up their sleeve, the turtle ship, or geobuxia. This wasn't just a ship. It was the world's first ironclad battleship. Imagine a vessel covered with a curved, armored roof made of iron plates, bristling with sharp spikes to prevent boarding. Arrows and early cannonballs would simply deflect off its armored shell. From the front, a fearsome dragon head spewed out noxious smoke or even fired cannonballs, terrifying enemy sailors. Lined with cannons on all sides, the turtle ship could sail directly into the heart of an enemy fleet, shrug off their attacks, and unleash devastating broadsides. Under the command of the legendary Admiral Yi Sun-sin, these floating fortresses dominated the seas and were instrumental in repelling the invasions. But long before cannons and ironclads, another revolutionary weapon appeared on the battlefields of China. As early as the 10th century, Chinese soldiers were wielding something that looked like a spear, but did something incredible. It shot fire. This was the fire lance. It was essentially a bamboo or metal tube filled with gunpowder and small projectiles, attached to the end of a spear. When ignited, it would shoot a jet of flame and shrapnel several feet forward. Imagine being a soldier in a shield wall, expecting a simple spear thrust, and instead being met with a blast of fire and shot. The psychological shock alone was a powerful weapon. While its range and accuracy were limited, the fire lance was a critical step in the evolution of firearms. It was the direct ancestor of the handgun and the rifle, a simple yet groundbreaking invention that put the power of gunpowder into a single soldier's hands for the very first time. From monstrous siege cannons that could topple ancient empires, to explosive ghost ships that redefined terror, to ironclad battleships, and the very first handheld guns, the medieval era was far more innovative than we often give it credit for. These weapons weren't just crude instruments of violence. They were sophisticated pieces of engineering that gave their users a glimpse of the future of warfare. They proved that even in the so-called Dark Ages, human ingenuity was burning brighter than ever. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this look into military history, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more.